That being said, were that to occur, we would certainly be inclined to ask His Worship to call an emergency meeting, and we would attempt to address that in an extremely rapid fashion.
So we would do a reconsideration of this report, correct? Thank you.
Okay, and just before I come to you, Councillor Black, for your motion, the retail sales tax amount is estimated to be $123,600. Do we get that money back?
Through the chair, through Mr. Johnson, no, we don't get that money back.
Councillor Columbus, I haven't forgotten you, Councillor Black.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The staff mentioned 3+% increase in the insurance. They mentioned claims, our claims history. It could be an issue there. And the other thing that I want to ask staff about is there's been things added each year like cyber insurance. We've got more computers. Our asset value has increased. You know, replacement cost of buildings and that. Is that not all part of the 3% also?
Through the chair, that is actually very correct, Councillor Columbus. As we add on additional portfolios, new services, we increase values for our property, that all impacts the bottom line of the increase to insurance.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Columbus. Now, Councillor Black, I believe you wish to put forth a motion.
Mr. Chairman, to move the recommendation contained in the report.
Do I have a seconder? By Councillor Oliver. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. All right. Where are we going now? No, we can't do that. Oh. All right. I'll ask, wait a minute, we see. How many would like to have a 15-minute break at this particular time? I've been overruled. Goodbye. I tried to get you out, Councillor Oliver.
Soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario, south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. On a strip of sandy soil lies a county called Norfolk. It's Ontario's south coast, you know, and it's surely not remote. If you pass through or spend a day or decide to call it home, you'll see why we love it here and are proud to call it our own. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. Take in the small town atmosphere, be amazed at all that we grow. Like our kids that go and see the world and can't wait to return home. Drop a line in a placid lake or stroll along the shore. Take a tour on a peaceful country road and bound to be back for more. Of Norfolk, Norfolk, my southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long. With hard work we built a dream that only willing hands could do. It's on display at our fall fairs and at all the festivals too. Erie beaches, Carolinian forests, where the flower and dogwoods bloom. Patchwork fields and rolling hills, it's just the place for you. Norfolk, Norfolk, a southern county home. Norfolk, Norfolk, we know you can't go wrong with the friendly folk of Norfolk. You won't be a stranger long.
2 minutes? Let's get at it. Okay, councilors, could we take our seats, please, and we could begin? And I think we're going to begin with this first report, right? The financial. 137. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to call our meeting back to order, and we're going to start at page 137, which is the report on financial planning and reporting. And I think, Ms. LaPlante, you're going to lead us on that?
That's correct.
You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The report before Council tonight is an in-year report that staff will be preparing and presenting to Council on a regular basis. It's similar to the same format that we've used for the year-end capital status reports. We're hoping in the future to do 2 reports, one as of June 30th and one as September 30th. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do one as of June 30th, so this one is presented to Council as at September 30th of 2017. The report deals with the status of the capital projects. You'll notice in the attachment, there's a number of projects that are suggested they remain open, some canceled, and some recommended for closure. What staff is seeking is Council's approval to close a number of capital projects, and if the budget, if the actual cost went over budget, staff has recommended a source of funding. And just, if you refer to page 2 of the report, the table actually outlines the number of capital projects we have open. We actually have 293 projects that are open for a total of $156.5 million. We're still recommending that 220 remain open, 8 projects be canceled, and 65 projects be closed. At this time, if Council would like any questions related to the report itself, it's a regular report, so I won't spend a lot of time explaining the details in the attachment. The only one item we wanted to note was, just as good news, is the library Delhi expansion on page 1 of the attachment, which would be, I believe, page 140 in your agenda. It's a project that we received Canada 150 funding, I believe, and there's been a ceremony for the opening of the Delhi Library. So by the end of the year, we should have all the final expenses and be able to close the project. So if Council has any questions regarding generally the report, I'd be pleased to answer them. Specifically on capital projects, if you could direct them to other staff within related to the projects, that would be great. I may be able to help out on some of the details, but most of the information provided is from the project managers for each project.
Thank you very much. And we do have some questions, starting with Councillor Columbus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when there's a project that has a balance as of September 30th, and it's completed, say that first one on the Port Dover Library, on, I don't know which page, anyway, 140, I guess. Yeah. When there's a balance that's in the positive, where do those dollars go once the project's completed? I know you mentioned where the negative ones, where you get dollars to top them up, but where does the positive balance go?
Through the chair to Councillor Columbus, if there's a positive variance, it would be a savings within wherever the original funding was from. So for example, the Port Dover Library Technology one, the one you're speaking about, I believe the funding was the library reserve. So we would just withdraw less money from that reserve and leave the $2,800 in the reserve.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to page 141 of the agenda package, and it's number 21. Accessible washroom design at the Delhi Kinsman Pool has been canceled. And that washroom, from attending there this past summer, it's in terrible condition. And I just wonder, why is that canceled?
We're getting the staff
Yeah.
to answer the question.
Thank you through the chair to Councillor Columbus. I believe that the dollar figure that was provided in the budget wasn't sufficient for the original budget estimate that came in for the project. So working with community services, we decided to cancel that project, and it would be a rebudgeted item.
So we'll see it in the January levy?
Through the chair, I'm not sure if it made its way into the 2018 budget or it's deferred another year, but I'll seek clarification from Mr. Cridlin on that.
Okay, I hope you do, because I had a lot of complaints about it, also from staff, too. Thanks.
Is that it for you, Councillor Columbus? All right, we'll go to Councillor Height, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Finance. How much does cash flow have to deal, how much does it affect the ability of staff to go through projects? Does it hold up things, not having the cash flow? Say you had to spend some money on certain parts, other big ticket items perhaps?
Through you, Mr. Chair. That's a good question. We monitor cash flow on a daily, weekly basis. We have a really good program where we take a look at our balances, our cash balances, and anticipated expenditures. We plan it out for the year. For example, we know when we have to pay the school boards throughout the year, and we have estimates on other major items. However, what we can't predict as accurately is the timing of some of the payments on these major capital projects, so which is why we monitor it on a regular basis. So we do, because of that monitoring, it does give us a heads up when we are low on funds, and if that happens, then we will reach out to some other instruments to get the funding. For example, we could issue debt, we could dip into our line of credit until the next tax due date, and there's other avenues that we can do, but we monitor it on a regular basis to ensure that we have sufficient funds to pay for these projects.
Okay, so there would probably be a threshold amount, like dollar figure, where it would be could be a problem, as opposed to some of the smaller items like 22,000, 50,000. They would be just ready to go at any time. Would that be how that would work? All right.
Through the chair to Councillor Height, that's correct.
Okay, thank you for that. Then, Mr. Chair, I have a few I'd like to go over, and then
Sure you have.
I'll let it go on the floor and come back to a few more. But right now I'm at number 6 on, I don't know. I can't tell. There's a hole punched through it. 140, I guess. Number 6, roof replacement, Port Rowan Branch Public Library. This is from 2017. It's ongoing. Project completion should be by December 2017. This is a simple roof replacement. There should be 3 quotes and the job done. Now it's the coldest time of the year, and we're going to put, I hope not shingles on this roof. But maybe Public Works could answer that?
Through the chairman to council, we issued, you'll see this for several roof replacements in this, we actually issued a single tender for all of the roof replacements. And so that has already been, and they're proceeding with that work. So it will be completed before the end of 2017.
But what took so long? Because November, December typically aren't your best roofing seasons if you want your shingles to stick?
Through the chairman to council, workload. We have a lot of projects, most of the projects are all weather dependent, and that was just what happened. We implemented a new program this year with respect to that to avoid this going forward in the future so that we can eliminate some of these things. We did implement a bunch of things this year, but some of them were delayed in getting issued.
Okay, I appreciate that, because I looked down at 15 and 16 on the very next page, and those were for 2015. And they're probably still not going to be completed to 2018. I'm almost tempted to cancel these projects, Ms. Robinson, because obviously it wasn't as important as it was when it came to the budget in 2015. And if you'll look on the very next page, 30 and 31, it's a simple photocopier purchase for 2 from this year that were deemed emergency enough to end up in our capital budget, and yet it's sitting there. Money's not a problem. It's just getting some quotes and buying this stuff seems to be the problem.
Through the chairman to council, with respect to things like photocopiers, et cetera, again, we were talking just previously about workload and the time of year. Photocopiers is something that can be replaced later in the year without having any kind of weather-dependent. Public Works has a considerable amount of work that has to be done on a weather-dependent basis. We do have until the end of the year, so we actually schedule our work according to weather conditions, the best way to accurately to do something. It turns out that photocopiers we typically replace in the fall simply because it's something that can be done if the weather's cold.
Okay, thank you. And last one, Mr. Chair, for now, is number 40, Dream Villas, development contribution, $190K. It's been on the books since 2014. The developer has defaulted, and a new agreement with the new owner is needed. Staff looking into this project to determine if it can be closed. That was the exact same explanation that was done last year. And I'm guessing they're defunct. Is there a new owner? Where are we at with that? And
Through the chairman to council, I will let Mr. Baird respond to the new owner or not a new owner. This is not county money. This is money that we received to do work. So it is an open capital project, but we have not spent the money that was given to us to undertake this work. So
there's money sitting there?
yes. We have several of these development ones where the developer was required to do a contribution based on a project going forward. As such, it's an open capital project, but it's not funded through levy money. It's funded through a private source. So in order to, it has to go to the lawyers to figure out what to do with it because it would have to go back to the developer, but then it's tied into all the development approvals, et cetera. So that's why this particular one is still sitting on the books.
So they paid money, then defaulted?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Councillor Oliver, I believe you're next.
I just have one quick one, and I know probably Sarah won't be able to answer this for me, but on page 143, nope, sorry, that's not correct. On page 151, right at the very top, project number 159, the Normandale Crown Access Point. This obviously was to, and I think M&R was interested or willing to consider turning over ownership to the county of the public access and tiny little beach at Normandale. Could staff look into that? I've been meaning for some months to ask about it, and this is as good an excuse as any to just ask for an update as an information memo or something in the next little while. Because we don't want to let this one go, Mr. Chairman. It would be a valuable asset to have in our portfolio of property.
Okay, who would be, Ms. Darlington, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a file that, through the transition of new general managers and former managers, has sort of sat in hiatus. We received notification last week, I think through a request from the Finance Department questioning this particular piece of property and where that was. So the file was just transferred last week to the Property Management Coordinator, Lydia Harrison. So she's doing some preliminary investigation on the file, getting herself up to speed on where it is. And she did advise this week that she will have a report coming forward to council for some direction on this particular property-related matter. And we expect that before the end of the year. I believe December 5th it's being scheduled for.
Okay. Is that it for you? Okay, we go to Councillor Brunton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm right on page 160, and I'm going to go to this one first. I do have some other ones, but I'll start with this, and it's to do with the total water and wastewater total. And I've read through every the individual projects, but approved budget, $84 million worth of projects. And I guess my question is to James, really. James, so I'm clear on this. And these budgeted items go back in some cases several years. And I assume a lot of that money will be debentured or has been debentured in some cases, or it will be debentured. And how is that, when will it go on the water and sewer bills?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we issue debentures when projects are completed.
So they're not there yet?
Correct.
That's scary when you look at the amount there, $84 million. Now, I'm not saying all that will be debentured, but there's a large portion of that, and I know there's funding from the province and things like that, but if you were able to project that $84 million, and that's going to have some impact on our water and sewer rates, correct?
Ms. Robinson would like to answer, if you don't mind, James.
Through the chairman to council, these projects were all expected, and the rate study that was done previously included all of these projects. These projects don't suddenly hit the water and the wastewater rates in the future. They've already been accounted for in the current rates that are being paid. In accordance with provincial legislation, we're required to save money on an annual basis to rehab infrastructure in the future. Our rates are set accordingly. So regardless of when this is being debentured, the project and the full amount of the project and the cost of the financing is already accounted for in the rates. So it's not like it hits the water or the wastewater rates in 2 years when it's actually debentured. It's already accounted for, and the funding for it is already accounted for in the rates that are currently being paid by people. So they're not going to see an increase in their water and wastewater rates because of these projects. It's already accounted for.
So, and again, I don't know what the amount is out of that 84 million, but you're saying whatever portions of that costs were related to the water and sewer rates are already being charged?
Through the chairman to council, that is correct.
Okay, all right.
That's
Thank
good
you.
news.
Yeah.
Next, Councillor Columbus.
Yes, thank you for a second shot. It's number 62, and it's the overhead wire removal in Port Dover, Main Street. It's $100,000 allocated, and where is that project at? I thought some of those wires were already removed by Nordell.
Through the chairman to council, we made arrangements when we did the work on Main Street to remove all of the wires that we had accounted for in the county's budget. This was an additional $100,000 that council had put forward. We received a proposal from Nordell for what they were actually able to do to move their wires. We forwarded it off to the BIA in order to get their input on that, and we are waiting to hear back from the BIA with respect to their input before we move forward. We didn't want to proceed with the project until we had concurrence from the community, given that the project was brought forward by the community.
I can't see why they would not want those wires removed.
Okay, thank you. Councillor, is that it, Councillor Columbus? Councillor Height, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Page 155, the Waterford Heritage Agriculture Museum, 226, 228, 230. When I look at these projects, there's also 228 or 227. All of these ones came like considerably over budget. And there's supposed to be a shortfall from the tax levy on one of these items. Is that for the tax levy coming up into this year? Or where are we going to get that from? Because that was already a deficit for the last year.
The chair to Councillor Height. We'll fund if we get permission and direction from council to close the project and fund it through the levy, it'll be applied against the surplus deficit for 2017.
Okay, because like this one, it has an approved budget of $10,000 and it comes in at $24,000. Ouch. All right, 227. All of these were like over budget except for the 226. I'm almost tempted to move a motion right now to stop 226 just to pay for the other ones.
Councillor Baird. Mr. Baird, please.
Not a chance. Mr. Chairman, yeah, to Councillor Height, that interior capital, that related to a large roof leak that was over top of the kitchen that needed to be repaired before we could do the kitchen renovation. That overage, obviously, we've got to get the roof fixed.
Did that come to council as a budget amendment? Or is there a limit and that didn't make it?
Likely not. It was probably, it may indeed have been some insurance as well, the scale of that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Councillor Sonnenberg.
One item, number 75, the Cockshut Road rebuild. As I recall, we were supposed to go to the 12th concession, but we had money left over, so we were going to go one more concession. But now it looks like we've canceled another project so that we could carry on the road right into Renton, which is good. I've had comments that this is the nicest road they've ever seen anywhere. It's a beautiful project. But I wasn't aware that we were canceling something else to expand this particular project. What got canceled? I can't find that number anywhere.
Through the chairman to council, I believe it's just a little bit of miscommunication. Our original project was we needed to do from Thompson Road to Renton. We split it over the cost of 2 years. We had the first part in 2017 and the second part in 2018. We saw such fabulous prices in 2017 that we were actually able to do both phases of the project with the amount budgeted in 2017 and still come under budget. Is the second part of the project that we actually did in 2017. So basically, we took a 2018 project and pushed it up into 2017, completed it, and still stayed within a reasonable amount with respect to the budget for that.
Could you find some of that good news for Port Dover? Mayor Luke.
Just a question for Kathy. A general question. There's 220 capital projects listed here. 65, Mr. Chair, are being asked to be closed, which is almost 25% of them. So if we approve this report, these 65 obviously then will come right out of here as of tomorrow or next week. Fair statement?
Yes, it is.
So you take 65 off 220, and if I can make just a comment.
Sure.
I too sometimes get overwhelmed when I see things that have been hanging around for a long time, i.e. Eisner's Dam and other projects. But Mr. Chair, the report says that staff do review these, and we just approved a lot of new projects here just not very long ago for next year. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Columbus.
Mr. Chairman, it looks like the staff's going to be very, very busy over the course of the next 8 weeks to finish a lot of these projects. And with that, I will move the recommendations as printed.
We have it moved by Councillor Columbus, seconded by Mayor Luke. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor. Motion is carried. Okay. Where do we go now? Where are we, James? Port Dover Harbor Authority billing concern.
Sal.
That would be you, I believe, Ms. Robinson. Would you speak to this, please?
Certainly. Through the chairman to council, before you tonight is the report for the Port Dover Harbor Authority billing concerns. That was as directed by staff based on some correspondence. Since this report was written and submitted into the agenda, we received some phone calls and emails from the person acting on behalf of one of the people involved in this, as well as you'll note that there was some additional information circulated this evening. Rather than deal with the report this evening, staff are recommending that you refer it back to us with direction to speak with them, negotiate with them, and bring forward a much more comprehensive report after we've had the opportunity to go through some of the concerns and the items that they've raised here this evening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mayor Luke.
Due to the fact that there's some unfinished business here, I would move that we refer this back to staff for further report.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Black. We have a motion on the floor, moved and seconded. Questions? Question, Councillor Height.
Just speaking on the motion.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm not sure about referring it back to staff. When I look at the correspondence from the lawyer, staff have had it in their court numerous times, and they don't appear to ever get back to the people, Mr. Chair. Is there a drop-dead date here? Because we're going to need a return date on this one for me to put my hand up.
Certainly, through the chair to council, we have responded to them on multiple occasions. There was multiple correspondence before this. We can certainly, I would suggest that the timelines et cetera, we would say that we could have it easily back for the second CIC in January, or the first, ideally the second CIC due to the holidays that we have, but if push comes to shove, we might be able to get it here for the first one in January, but the second CIC for sure.
And would the mover of the motion be okay with that amendment, a return date?
Mayor Luke? Councillor Black, you're all right with that? Both the mover and seconder are all right with that? And Ms. Robinson, you're all right with that? Okay. No further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We'll look forward to your report. Okay. Where are we going now, boys? Okay, that brings us to the Simcoe Trunk Main Extension. I think that's you again, Ms. Robinson.
Through the chairman to council, before you is the report with respect to the contract for the Simcoe Trunk Main Extension. Staff are recommending that the tender be canceled and that staff will go back and do some review. The budget, the project came in considerably over budget, and as such, we do not feel that that actually represents a good value for the money, and we'd like to look at other alternatives to address the concerns that we have out there, and we're recommending that it be canceled from a procedural point of view, that the tender be canceled, and that it just be referred back to staff, and we'll come back with other direction in the future.
Councillor Black?
Yes, I would move that recommendation from staff, and it's quite understandable. It's unfortunate, but it's way over budget.
Councillor Height, were you going to second the motion, or do you want to speak to the motion?
No, I wanted a question.
Okay. Could I have a seconder to... Councillor Oliver has moved. All right. So we have a motion on the floor now, moved by Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Oliver. Now, Councillor Height, you may speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Public Works. What's the main driver behind this? Because once I read this report and picked myself back up and put myself into the chair, what causes us to need $3 million worth of water mains or trunk main extensions in Simcoe?
Through the chairman to council, this project was, we have a crossing underneath the river in Simcoe, and that has been causing us historical problems. It has been patched and repaired several times. We have a temporary patch on it right now. The idea when we undertook the project was that we were trying to eliminate the actual river crossing, and so by rerouting some of the sanitary flows, it would prohibit, or it would allow us to remove our river crossing. Anytime we have sewage crossing a body of water, we try to eliminate those as much as possible. So that was the intention of the project. Based on the estimates our engineers had provided us, we thought that it was a very feasible alternative. When we've seen these costs that have come in, it's quite cost prohibitive to do that, and that's why we're recommending that the tender be closed and we go back and reevaluate different alternatives to address the old piece of infrastructure that has a temporary patch on it right now that won't last for more than a couple more years.
But I recall council approved that. We redid that whole thing. That's the one over by the Arts Center, is it not, where it goes underneath the river and back up? And didn't we deal with that a year ago or something?
Through the chairman to council, it's right by Victoria Street. So south of the Arts Center there, sort of by the Culver Street offices in that vicinity. That was when we brought the project forward, because that's when we found out that that we had to do a temporary fix again on that particular piece of pipe. We brought forward the project at that time saying we need to look at a better solution to the area, and that's what brought forward this project. We haven't done anything with it. That was when we brought it forward in the conceptual stage, because it hadn't been included at that point in the capital budgets. We're not happy with this result. We don't think that this represents good value, which is why we're recommending that we go back and look a different way. But in accordance with our purchasing policy, council needs to authorize the canceling of the tender.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm not happy with this one either, Mr. Chair.
This is not your lucky night, is it? We have a motion on the floor by Councillor Black, seconded by Councillor Oliver. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Bringing us to the next, the bridge projects. That would be you again, I think, Ms. Robinson.
Through the chairman to council, before you is the Class EA status update with respect to 3 different bridge projects. Staff are recommending that we proceed with the preferred solution for the Norfolk County Road 45 Bailey Bridge and the Side Road Lot 22 bridge, as well as the preferred solution for the Concession A bridge, noting that the Concession A bridge, the preferred solution is the removal of the structure. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, Councillor Height, why don't we start with you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Concession A Bridge. We had a petition here signed from, I don't know, a few hundred people that want that in. Last year, just before the meeting, there was a house that burned down there, which caused mayhem because the fire trucks couldn't get down the thing. Council will recall all the people that came requesting the bridge be open. I have 5 bridges in my area that have been closed for 10 years now, at least. And now we want to remove one on a concession. What I don't understand is this project was approved in 2013. It is on page 143 of our capital status report. It should have been done years ago. So now it's going to cost us more because of this delay, but a way around the cost is to simply not do it. It's not acceptable to the people of my ward, Mr. Chair. They've asked council, they've had it approved once before. It's been in the capital budget. I'm not sure what more can be done, but I need to move the motion that we add this in and eliminate and further that.
Well, I don't think we have a motion on the floor yet,
I'm moving it.
but we can't put it in yet because we don't have a motion.
I'm creating a motion, Mr. Chair.
You're going to make a motion?
I am.
Okay, I apologize. You were certainly within your right to make a motion.
Okay, and that we can just add it right in there, I guess, and that council directs staff to proceed with the detailed design and construction of Norfolk County Road 45 Bailey Bridge, structure number, blah, blah, blah. And that'll be a good one, it's a long time coming. And Side Road Lot 22 Bridge, structure D0013, as noted in the Class EA assessment project file, preferred solution. And Concession A Bridge, structure 000110, as noted in Class EA assessment project.
So basically what you're saying is the 3 bridges that are there, your motion is to have them all completed.
Yes, sir.
That's it in a nutshell, right?
You got it.
Do I have, I got to get something on the floor here. No. How's it out of order?
Sorry, through the chair to council. I understand what Councillor Height is trying to accomplish by his motion. Unfortunately, as he's proposed that motion, that's not possible under the class environmental assessment stuff. We can if that's his intention, I can certainly help provide a motion to do that, but I need that motion to be written differently in order to do that. Because this bridge had to go through the class environmental assessment process, there is a preferred solution through that process. The preferred solution is to close it. So if council is desirous of not implementing the preferred solution, they need to provide staff instructions to go back and open up through the Class EA process. So basically, you would be instructing staff that you do not wish to implement the preferred solution, and you'd like staff to do an additional review as well as doing an amendment to the Class EA process so that you're able to do what you're trying to accomplish.
Okay, if you would wait, Councillor Height, here's what we're going to do. We're going to deal with the other 2 bridges first, and then we'll deal with this bridge singly. And would that be all right?
Fair enough.
Okay, do I have a motion? I have a Councillor Columbus, Councillor Geisens. And the motion is that Norfolk County Road 45 Bailey Bridge, as well as the Side Road Lot 622 Bridge, be completed as recommended, or be dealt with as recommended. Is that your motion? Councillor Height, or Councillor Oliver and Councillor Geisens, is that your motion? Yes. Columbus.
That is my motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we're going to speak to that motion first. Any questions? Seeing none, all in favor? That's done. Now, we still have 1 bridge left, and that bridge would be Concession A Bridge. Now, Councillor Height, what would you like to do with Concession A Bridge?
Well, I would like to move a motion exactly like how Lee worded it, Mr. Chair. And I know our clerk, Mr. Gazelle, got every single word down to perfection, so I just need him to read that motion. And then I would need a seconder, and I'll speak to that.
And you have a seconder, but we'll get the motion first. Robinson, do you have it, or do you want her to repeat it? You want to try it?
So there was two bridges though, right?
There's one bridge
Okay, so
for the concession A bridge.
Yeah.
Okay, so that council directs staff that they do not agree with the class environmental preferred solution to proceed with the permanent closure and removal of concession A bridge structure 000110 as noted, and for staff to provide a further report on other options.
It's not bad, Mr. Chair, that'll work for me.
If we could just add to the end of it, the other options, basically, if I can put some words in Councillor Height's mouth, to put the bridge back into service, so that we have an idea of what we're trying to achieve.
And Mayor Luke, you're all right with that? So we now have a motion on the floor, moved and seconded, and Councillor Black, you may speak.
Just a question for you to staff. Why was it recommended for closure?
Through the chairman to council, through the class environmental assessment process, we have to consider all options to do with that, one of which is the closure. And there is criteria and weighting criteria that's used within that. And at the end of the day, that is how it comes out as the preferred solution. There are lots of ways to not implement the preferred solution, and this motion will allow staff to explore that and bring it back for council to consider it. The class environmental assessment process